What is the one thing women hide from every man they're with? Not a secret affair, not a hidden past, something deeper. Something so fundamental to how attraction actually works that if she told you directly, it would stop working entirely. Every woman carries it. Your girlfriend, your wife. The woman who left you last year and never fully explained why. They're all hiding the same thing, and they're hiding it for the same reason. Because the moment it's spoken out loud, it dies. So she keeps it locked away, and she lets you operate on the comfortable assumptions that are slowly costing you everything. Niccolo Machiavelli spent his life uncovering the truths people were too afraid to say out loud. He was tortured for what he knew, and exiled for what he wrote. And what he understood about human nature explains exactly what women hide, why they hide it, and what it means for every relationship you'll ever have. She'll never tell you this, but Machiavelli will. And in the next few minutes, so will I. Part 1. The thing she guards. Let me tell you what she's hiding before I explain why she hides it. She's hiding the fact that her attraction to you is not under her control, and that it does not respond to the things you think it responds to. This is the dark truth at the center of everything. A woman cannot choose who she's attracted to. She can choose who she dates. She can choose who she marries. She can choose who she's loyal to. But the actual pull, the involuntary response of desire, operates beneath her conscious will entirely. It rises and falls based on signals she's reading from you that neither of you is fully aware of. And she has almost no ability to manufacture it where it doesn't exist or suppress it where it does. This terrifies her, and it should terrify you too once you understand the implications. Because it means that all the things you've been doing to earn her attraction, the effort, the gifts, the reliability, the constant availability, may have nothing to do with whether she actually feels the pull. She might appreciate everything you do while feeling her desire quietly drain away, for reasons that have nothing to do with your effort and everything to do with signals you don't even know you're sending. Machiavelli understood this kind of involuntary response in the political realm. He observed that the loyalty of a people toward their ruler was not something the ruler could simply command or purchase. It arose, or failed to arise, based on the ruler's actual qualities, his strength, his presence, his character, in ways that were largely outside the ruler's conscious control. A prince could do everything correctly by the rulebook and still fail to inspire devotion, because devotion responded to something deeper than correct behavior. She will never tell you that her attraction operates this way, because telling you would force a conversation neither of you knows how to have. How do you discuss the fact that her desire isn't responding to your efforts without it sounding like an accusation, a rejection, or a demand? There's no way to say it that doesn't wound. So she stays silent, and she lets you keep believing that if you just do enough, try enough, give enough, you'll eventually earn what cannot actually be earned through effort. Part 2. Why the truth would destroy itself. Here's where it gets stranger. Even if she wanted to tell you exactly what generates her attraction, telling you would make it impossible for you to produce it. This is the paradox that traps every honest conversation about attraction. The things that generate desire in a woman cannot be performed on request. The moment they become performances, they lose the quality that made them attractive in the first place. Attraction responds to authenticity, to a man's genuine internal state, not to behaviors he's executing because he was told they work. So imagine she did tell you. Imagine, she said, I'm attracted to you when you're confident and self-assured, when you don't need my approval, when you have your own life and purpose. Now you know. So you try to be those things, but the trying itself betrays you, because confidence performed in order to attract her is not confidence. It's anxiety wearing a costume. Self-assurance produced to please her is not self-assurance. It's people-pleasing in disguise. Not needing her approval, while actively trying to not need it in order to win her approval, is a contradiction that her nervous system will detect instantly. The truth, once spoken, becomes unusable, because the truth points to a state of being that can only exist genuinely, never performed. And the moment you're performing it, you've already lost it. Machiavelli grasped this principle in his writing about the appearance and reality of virtue. He understood that certain qualities, once a person was visibly trying to display them, ceased to convince anyone. The prince who obviously performed strength appeared weaker than the prince who simply was strong. The performance revealed the absence of the real thing, and no audience, watching a performance of strength, mistakes it for strength itself. This is the deepest reason she'll never tell you what generates her attraction. Even if she could articulate it perfectly, even if she wanted to help you, the telling would sabotage you. The knowledge would push you toward performance, and performance is the death of the very thing she's trying to point you toward. So her silence isn't cruelty. In a strange way, it's mercy. She's protecting you from a knowledge that would only make things worse if you tried to use it directly. Part 3. The signals she's actually reading. So, what is she reading, if not your effort? Let me show you, while warning you that knowing this can only help you if you use it to become rather than to perform. She's reading your relationship with yourself. Everything flows from this. The way you treat yourself when no one's watching, the standards you hold for your own behavior, the degree to which your sense of worth comes from within versus depending on external validation, the stability of your inner world when life gets difficult, the presence or absence of a purpose that animates your days independent of any woman. These internal realities leak out through 1,000 external signals that she reads automatically. Your posture, the pace of your speech, the steadiness of your eye contact, the way you respond when challenged, whether you fill silences nervously or rest in them comfortably, how you carry yourself when you walk into a room, the micro-expressions that cross your face when you think no one's looking. None of these signals can be faked reliably because they emerge from your actual internal state rather than your conscious choices. You can control your words. You cannot control the 100 subtle tells that broadcast your true relationship with yourself, and she reads those tells with a precision that would astonish you if you could see the calculations running beneath her awareness. Machiavelli wrote that men judge primarily by appearances, but that the deepest, most perceptive observers see through appearances to the reality underneath. He understood that surface presentation could fool the casual observer, but never the skilled one. Women, when it comes to reading men's actual internal states, are the skilled observers. Their entire history has trained them to read men accurately, because reading men accurately was, for most of human history, a survival skill. The cost of misjudging a man's character was potentially catastrophic. So the ability to see through performance to the reality underneath was selected for, refined across generations, until it became the near supernatural perceptiveness women display today. She reads your being, not your doing. And your being is something you cannot fake your way into. You can only build it. Part 4. Why she let you believe the lie. You might be feeling some resentment right now. If she knew that your effort wasn't the point, why did she let you keep trying? Why did she accept the gifts, enjoy the attention, benefit from the reliability, while knowing it wasn't generating what you hoped it was generating? The answer is uncomfortable, and Machiavelli would deliver it without softening. She let you believe it, partly because the belief was convenient for her, and partly because she didn't fully understand it herself. Let's take the convenience first. A man who believes his effort earns attraction is a man who provides a great deal of effort. And effort, even when it doesn't generate desire, produces real benefits. Reliability, provision, attention, service. These things are pleasant to receive. They make life easier. and a woman receiving them has little incentive to disrupt the arrangement by explaining that the effort isn't accomplishing its deepest goal. This sounds calculating, and in a sense it is, but it usually isn't conscious. She's not sitting there scheming about how to extract effort from a man who doesn't understand the game. She's simply not volunteering information that would reduce the benefits she's receiving, the same way most people don't volunteer information against their own interests in any domain of life. Now, the second reason, which is more sympathetic. She often doesn't fully understand it herself. The mechanisms of her own attraction operate below her conscious awareness. She knows she's drawn to certain men and not others. She knows that effort doesn't reliably produce the drawing, but she may not be able to articulate why, because the why is buried in instinctual processes she has no direct access to. So, even if she wanted to explain it to you, she might lack the language, the self-knowledge, the conscious insight required to do so. Machiavelli understood that people often act from motivations they cannot articulate. He wrote about how the masses followed leaders for reasons they could not explain, drawn by forces they did not comprehend. The same is true of attraction. She is drawn, or not drawn, by forces she experiences but cannot fully name. And so, her silence isn't only strategic. It's also the silence of someone who genuinely doesn't have the words for what's happening inside her. Part 5. What this means for you. So, here you are, holding a dark truth. Her attraction isn't responding to your effort, it's responding to your being. She'll never tell you this, partly because telling you would ruin it, partly because the truth benefits her to withhold, and partly because she may not understand it herself. What do you do with this? The wrong response is despair. To conclude that since attraction can't be earned through effort, there's nothing you can do, and to give up. This is a misreading. There's a tremendous amount you can do. It's just not what you thought. The right response is to redirect everything. Stop pouring your energy into effort aimed at her, and start pouring it into the development of yourself. Build the being that attraction actually responds to. Develop the internal stability, the genuine purpose, the real self-possession that broadcasts through every unconscious signal she's reading. This is slow. It's not a technique you can apply tonight. It's a transformation that takes years. But it's the only thing that actually works. Because it's the only thing that produces the genuine internal state that generates genuine attraction. Machiavelli's entire philosophy points toward this redirection. He told princes, again and again, to stop relying on external sources of power and to build their own internal strength, their own virtue. The prince who depended on fortune, on allies, on circumstance, on borrowed strength, was always vulnerable. The prince who built genuine capability within himself was durable because his power was actually his. Your attractiveness works the same way. Build it from within, through the actual development of yourself, and it becomes genuine, stable, and powerful. Try to manufacture it through external effort aimed at her, and it remains fragile, performed, and ultimately unconvincing. The dark truth, properly understood, is actually liberating because it tells you to stop chasing something that can't be caught and start building something that can't be taken away. Stop trying to earn her attraction and start becoming a man who naturally generates it. The first is a losing game. The second is the only game worth playing. Part 6. The deeper liberation. There's one more layer to this, and it's the layer that turns a dark truth into a genuinely freeing one. When you stop trying to earn attraction through effort, you stop living in a state of perpetual anxiety about whether you're doing enough. That anxiety, which has probably haunted you for years, is itself one of the signals that reduces attraction. So, the very act of releasing the effort-based approach begins, paradoxically, to make you more attractive. The man who has internalized that he cannot earn attraction through effort and who has therefore redirected his energy toward building himself, carries a completely different energy than the man still trapped in the earning game. He's calmer, he's less needy, he's more focused on his own development than on monitoring her responses. And all of these qualities are precisely the ones that generate the attraction he stopped chasing. This is the final irony Machiavelli would appreciate. The thing you wanted comes most readily when you stop chasing it and start building yourself instead, not as a trick, not as a strategy to make her come back, but as a genuine reorientation of your life away from external validation and toward internal development. The man who builds himself wins regardless of any particular woman's response. His life improves, his confidence grows, his purpose deepens, his stability solidifies. And these improvements are real, permanent, and beneficial, whether or not they result in any specific romantic outcome. He's no longer dependent on her attraction for his sense of worth, which means he's no longer broadcasting the neediness that undermines attraction in the first place. She'll never tell you any of this, but now you know it. And knowing it, the only question that remains is whether you'll use it to become rather than to perform. Whether you'll do the slow, difficult, deeply rewarding work of building a self that attraction naturally responds to, or whether you'll keep searching for shortcuts that don't exist. The dark truth about what women hide is that attraction was never about your effort. It was always about your being. She couldn't tell you, because telling you would have destroyed it, benefited her to withhold, and required a self-knowledge she may not possess. So, she stayed silent, and let you operate on assumptions that were quietly costing you everything. Machiavelli built his entire legacy on the willingness to speak the truths others wouldn't. He understood that comfortable lies are more dangerous than uncomfortable realities, because comfortable lies keep you trapped in patterns that don't work while feeling like they should. The man who hears the hard truth and acts on it escapes the trap. The man who clings to the comfortable lie remains inside it forever, confused and frustrated, unable to understand why his efforts never produce what they're supposed to produce. You've heard the hard truth now. Attraction responds to who you are, not what you do. She'll never confirm it, but you don't need her confirmation. You need only to look honestly at your own life, your own patterns, your own results, and ask whether the effort-based approach has ever actually worked the way you hoped. It hasn't. It never will, because it was aimed at the wrong target the entire time. Redirect. Build yourself. Become the man whose being generates what no amount of doing ever could. That's the work. It's slow, it's difficult, and it's the only thing that has ever actually worked. She'll never tell you this, but Machiavelli did. And now, so have I. What you do with it is the only thing that was ever in your hands. If this reached somewhere real, subscribe. Share it with a man who's been doing everything right and still losing, because he was playing the wrong game. And remember, the truth doesn't care whether it's comfortable. It only cares whether it's true. Machiavelli knew that. Now, you do too. Until next time.